everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today we're going to be talking about 1998's The Truman Show and its brand new 4K Blu-ray that just came out from Paramount. So back in June of 1998, The Truman Show was released. It was directed by Peter Weir and was written by Andrew Niccol, and it stars Jim Carrey as Truman Burbank, a man who doesn't realize that his entire life is being broadcast to the entire world. He's basically just a walking reality show. His entire way of living, his entire world that he lives in is artificial. It's just a gigantic studio in Hollywood, California, but he is unaware of that. He was born on live TV. His whole life has basically been manifested for him, and it's really just there for everybody's entertainment. Little did this film know that it actually would be predicting what the future of the world would be. If only they had known in 1998 that not only would people want to be broadcast to the world, but they would be paid pretty damn well if they do. So they were just a little bit ahead of the curve, and I actually cannot believe that this movie is 25 years old. I remember when this came out because I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan. Jim Carrey was my first favorite actor. I basically grew up with the guy with movies like The Mask.
Who can?
Dumb and Dumber is still my favorite comedy of all time. The Ace Ventura films, and then Liar Liar in 1997. But The Truman Show was really Jim Carrey's first dive into drama, and a lot of people didn't think he could do it. But Peter Weir actually has directed some of my favorite films ever in movies like 1993's Fearless, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, Witness, and Dead Poets Society. So he's a very good director, and a lot of his movies also have a heart to them. They really know how to tug at your emotions. So combining that with Jim Carrey and this story about a man who doesn't realize that his life is being laid out for the rest of the world, and it's basically just being tailor-made for him, and he doesn't even realize that he is not in control of his life, because this movie has a lot of religious overtones to it. Ed Harris's character of Christoph is basically just God. He is Jim Carrey's God. There's even scenes where he's talking down to Jim Carrey's Truman through the clouds, so basically just showing you, beating you over the head that, yeah, he is God, and it's dealing with what happens if you let that go. What if you what if you're out of the religious confines, and now you're taking back control of your life, and it's dealing with the push and pull of that. It's a very philosophical film in that nature, about what your life is, what plan is laid out for you, existentialism, do you have control of your own destiny? All of this stuff is laid out in this dramedy, because Jim Carrey is the perfect person to cast in this type of film, because he does find that perfect balance of drama and comedy, because this movie does have some real laugh out loud moments.
All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mount Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
Because there's a lot of winks at the camera, because this is a TV show, so it's completely funded by ads, but the ads are in the world that he lives in. So he's like, basically they got background shots of stuff behind him that's for a drink, or like the wife will come home with a knife and she'll just basically lay it out, smile into the camera, and he's all confused about what's going on. But they do so much like this to throw him off. They, when a character needs to get cut from the show, they cut him, and they don't realize the pain that they're causing this man. Maybe he wanted to marry that girl, or taking his father off of the show, because the way we keep him in this world is to give him a fear of water, so he can't ever leave the town that he lives in. And then speaking of that God character, Christoph, played by Ed Harris, I actually think this might be Ed Harris's best role. Ed Harris, he always kind of plays like an angry guy, but when he's asked to portray emotion, because a character like this, he really is the antagonist of this film, because we're supposed to believe that this man has basically created this entire world and we're keeping Truman Burbank in it. But people also love him for that, because he's given them this form of entertainment, this form of comfort of watching Truman live his life. He's also the antagonist to basically Truman. He's the one that's forced him into this life against his will, because he is completely unaware of what's going on. But the way Ed Harris portrays this character is he feels like he's doing a good thing. He feels like the real world is the dangerous world, and the world that he has made for Jim Carrey's Truman is the best world. You're not going to live a better life than the world that I have created for you. And Ed Harris portrays this perfectly on screen. He really does find that balance. That's why, again, it's perfect casting, because usually, you see Ed Harris play these angry people with a rough edge to them, and this guy has a rough edge to him, but he also really does care about what he's doing, and he believes in his heart of hearts that he is doing the right things. Even when he snaps and loses his temper with characters like Paul Giamatti, he is still, in his belief, doing the right thing, and he really does care about Truman, I believe. I believe he doesn't just care about, like this is a job. I think he actually generally cares about the character of Truman, because if Truman does get up and leave this world, he could easily just do it all over again, bring in a new person from their birth until the time they choose to leave or their death. He could do it all again, but I really do feel like he cares about Truman. He believes that he gave Truman the life that he would want He just doesn't realize it because, again, you basically didn't give Jim Carrey's Truman the option. So overall, I really do think that this is a great philosophical film dealing with a lot of great themes and messages, while also wrapping it in a beautifully shot film with a great score, tremendous acting performances by everybody who's in it. It moves along at such a quick pace at only 100 minutes that no moment is ever wasted, and it doesn't feel like there's any filler in this movie. So it's really almost a perfect film, and it gets better each and every time I watch it. And it also gets better as our world becomes more and more like the Truman Show. So, you know, this movie pretty much predicted the future. I just don't think they realized how much of the future they would predict back in 1998 and how fast that future would approach us. So this movie is only going to continue to get better with age. So even if you don't grab this 4K Blu-ray that we're going to talk about, I can highly recommend you checking out this film. But before we dive into that 4K Blu-ray reviews, if you are a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, lists, and podcasts, and shorts, we try and do them all here on the channel, and nothing would really help this channel out more than by just simply liking this video and subscribing to the channel.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
So the Truman Show was put out on 4K Blu-ray by Paramount on July 4th, 2023. And this movie was given the works. We get Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, HDR10. It's presented in the aspect ratio of 1.85, so that means it's going to fill up your entire screen. And it came in this really nice package with a really nice slipcover, this really nice glossy looking slipcover. You know, the original movie poster is iconic, but this one's still pretty good too. So when you slide the slipcover off, you get the same artwork underneath. And this is just a minor complaint. I have seen other studios do this, not just Paramount. But I really get so bothered when they print the exact same thing that's on the slipcover on the front of the actual box art, because they don't realize that this right here can just get cut off because it has the 4K Ultra HD logo on the case. I guess they don't realize that. It's happened a couple times, most famously for me with the movie Nope, where it's just very distracting. This isn't as distracting, and again, that's just a minor printing mistake that I'm sure they don't even realize, and I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't even complain about, but my OCD just will not let me not bring that up, so I just wanted to point that out. And just like all Paramount releases, you get a black 4K disc and a light blue Blu-ray disc. I believe that is the 2017 Blu-ray that's packed in there, and when I was comparing them back to back, honestly, that 2017 Blu-ray is not the worst Blu-ray that I've ever seen. It's actually pretty good. And that Blu-ray is going to have all of your extras on it, which actually has a great making of documentary on there. It's a pretty old one that clearly came from a previous DVD release, but it's still a really good making of documentary. It's about 46 minutes long. I really did appreciate that. There's a nice featurette about the special effects, because I don't know how many people even think about the special effects in this movie, but there really is a lot of them, so there's a really good featurette on there. And then, you know, photo galleries, trailers, so it's not loaded with extras, but I'm always going to be appreciative when they put a making of documentary on there, because I do believe that that is the coup de grace of extras, in my opinion. And then back to those visuals, it really is an amazing 4K Blu-ray. That, like I said, the original Blu-ray that came out a few years ago is still pretty good, but it's still a pretty big jump to 4K. And if you have that old Blu-ray from, I believe, 2008, it's a huge jump from that. Like, I can't even imagine. I have never seen that Blu-ray, but I'm sure it's a big jump from that, because the 2017 Blu-ray is not that bad, the one that's packed in here. You know, the colors are still pretty good. The color temperature on both that Blu-ray and the 4K is pretty much identical, but you get a real resolution increase, you get a brightness increase. Again, this movie was shot in the Florida Panhandles, so it looks beautiful on your screen, even if you, no matter which way you watch it, because the film was just shot great to begin with. But this 4K is just enhancing all of that, so it's a much, you know, most of the movie takes place in the sun, and if it's not sunny outside, you know, it's raining out, so it all looks so good on your screen, and this 4K is just enhancing that. The Dolby Vision especially, it's going to hit those deep blacks. It's a very colorful movie, so those colors are going to pop right off your screen, but in comparison to the Blu-ray, you know, we eliminate a little bit of film grain that we had on the previous Blu-ray, and then those colors, man, the contrast ratio, the vividness, it's a really good 4K, and this is what Paramount does when they want to do it best. They can do it. This is another example of that, of a really good high quality 4K that they put out. And then when you switch over to the audio, you get a nice Dolby Atmos track, a Dolby True HD 7.1, then you get all the previous audio tracks, which are in a bunch of different languages with plenty of choices of subtitles. I brought this up with the Mission Impossible 4Ks. that Paramount also did, and I really do appreciate them giving so many different options as far as audio tracks in different languages and different options of subtitles. I like that they make these movies feel inclusive. You know, I live in America here, so, you know, we have a bunch of different people who speak a bunch of different languages, and it's really cool that they're trying to make these movies feel inclusive so that everybody can, you know, no matter what language you speak, you have the option to listen to it with a dub, or you can watch it with subtitles. I really do appreciate them doing that, and I wish that every studio would do something like that, because there's a lot of studios that will just put it out with an English track and maybe one choice of subtitles, but not like what Paramount's doing. So I really wanted to point that out because I do appreciate that. And for the price that this is going for, which is only $20 at this moment, is an absolute steal for this, because again, you get a 4K, a pack in Blu-ray, a bunch of extras on there, really good packaging, a brand new Dolby Atmos track, brand new scan with Dolby Vision and HDR10. This is an absolute steal at that price. Even if you get it on sale later in the year and it's even lower than that, you really are committing highway robbery, because this is a fantastic disc. Just another shining example of Paramount doing what they can do if they want to do it, and I really do appreciate them putting this out, because I think The Truman Show is just one of those films that if you watch it now, you're not going to believe that they pretty much predicted the future in 1998, except they thought that people wouldn't want to be on camera and have their whole life exposed to the world. Where they didn't realize was people not only would love that, but they'll pay damn good money for it. So The Truman Show, I think, is aged like a fine, fine wine, and I think this 4K is going to do exactly the same. So if I had to give a score to this 4K on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this a really solid 9 out of 10. It's definitely worth your time and money. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here with me on another episode of Let's Talk. If you enjoyed this review, please make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. And I keep forgetting to bring it up, but I do have an Amazon affiliate link that I always leave in the description below if you want to buy this 4K through that link. It costs no extra money to you, and it does help the channel out. But again, no pressure, you don't have to, but just want to make that aware to you guys. And again, just thank you so, so much. I want you to go out there today, tell all your friends about us, tell them, hey, you know what? Check out Let's Talk Entertainment and Media, and we'll be seeing you around.